Hey folks, and welcome to Greg's Golf Shack. You know, I feel like there's a few different places where we lose strokes out on the golf course. One place is on tee shots. Sometimes we get, a little aggressive and we lose our driver out into the woods. The other spot is around the greens, because even if we're not striking it the greatest, our ball might be around the greens and rough on the fairway, and chipping and putting become those secret elements to help us save a score. It might be to save a par or save a bogey or even save a double bogey just to keep things under control. And it's something we don't practice enough. And it really comes down to the conditions of the course. When we're chipping, we need to understand the different speeds that greens can play. So just like in putting, I have a video that can show you how to test out, green speeds to dial in your putting distance. But it's also a really good idea to practice how far your chips roll out on a practice green before you go out for a round. So I want to give you a couple little tips here about different chipping strategies that we can apply to best appeal to the kind of shot we have out on the course. So when we're putting, we're often looking at the hole. We're judging how much distance it's going to take to get to that hole, and we, plan our stroke accordingly. With chipping, it's a little bit different, because we might be looking at the hole for a target, but it's really in our best interest to pick a landing zone where we'd like to land our chip to have it roll out to our desired target, which is the hole. And the club we choose to chip with plays a role in how all that will unfold, because certain clubs will roll out longer than others. So I have, a line, just a little white piece of duct tape on the green here from, what we'll call a fairway lie, to kind of demonstrate this a little bit. Now, I'm, aiming towards the direction of a hole here, but I'm not really, trying to sink this, because this is a little bit of a demonstration of distances. And any green can be different at different courses, and that's why it's so important to practice on those greens. And what I want to demonstrate is, two club differences. I'm going to use a sand wedge. This is a 54 degree. I've got a pitching wedge there, and I also have an 8-iron. Now, some of you will, if you have an old set of clubs, you might say, well, the pitching wedge and the sand wedge are one apart. There's actually a club in the middle that I suggest you use called a gap wedge or an approach wedge. And my goal with this is to show you that different clubs will have a different amount of rollout. Now, you'll have to test for yourself on the green that you're about to play, on the practice green of the course that you're going to play. But just very generally speaking, a sand wedge or a lob wedge might roll out about the same distance that it flies in the air. Something like a pitching wedge might roll out twice as far as it flies in the air, and something like an 8-iron might roll out 3 times as far. Now again, these are just rough estimates to kind of have in your head. You'll have to test it, walk it off, pace it off on the greens that you play, but I'd like to demonstrate it for you for that specific visual. So I'm going to start with a sand wedge here, and even though I'm going in the direction of that hole out there, I'm just aiming to land the ball on this duct tape here, or near it anyways. So just an average sort of chip to fly it to that duct tape and see how it rolls out. Okay, now that has rolled out about as far as it's flown in the air. So I know if I'm out on those greens in these conditions, I should get about the same amount of roll as I do flight. Now, a pitching wedge is a little bit lower lofted. I expect that I might get a little bit more roll, but my target in this case, this little experiment, is going to remain the same. I'm going to try to chip it just around that little duct tape line there to see how much it will roll compared to the amount that it flies in the air. All right, I hit it, a tad long, but we can see it's rolled out almost twice as far. Now I'll take an 8-iron and try that same target line to see how it rolls out. And it's gone through the green in this case, which demonstrates that it rolls approximately 3 times as far. So that's different strategies we can take, but it's important for us to practice on those practice greens to find out how much rollout we're going to get. Now, which club you choose is up to you, but you might have very little green to work with, so the higher lofted club might be the better choice. If you're more comfortable, you can see the breaks and you'd like to roll the ball a little bit longer with your chip, then maybe an 8-iron might be the better choice if you can pick a good landing spot to roll it out the way you'd like. All right, I've removed that tape there that we used for our experiment. I'm going to try to play to the hole at the end of the green there. And I'm going to try it with the 3 different clubs with the information that we've gathered there. So I'm going to start with the sand wedge, this is the 54 degree, and I realize I probably have to fly this halfway to the hole to be able to get it to release and roll out the rest of that distance. So let's see, if I fly this kind of halfway across the green, if it rolls out just enough to get to the hole. Not too bad, left with a tap in. Now I'm going to try a pitching wedge. I'm assuming I'm going to probably have to land that around where that tape line was, because that one was pretty close to the hole in our experiment. So just, a 1/3 of the way onto the green. Ooh, we almost holed it. So good distance there. Now the 8-iron rolled quite a bit. I'm going to have to land that even shorter of where we had that tape to see if it'll roll out. This one's going to be a little bit tougher. Let's see if we can get it close. Be very much like almost a little chippy kind of punch there. But again, it's in line with the hole. All 3 of those are tap-ins, and we took different roads to be able to get there. So kind of a nice experiment for you to try, to choose different clubs around the green to be able to give yourself the best chance to make that next putt. I hope this information helps. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time on Greg's Golf Shack.